everybody, you got your main man, Anthony Brogdon, here again at Strong Inspirations. And let me tell you something here, my friends. And I hope my guests can hear me. I like this lady. She's a nice person. We've talked several times. She's got a very interesting story that I know is going to blow your mind. And you can just feel the niceness come through of her and the warmth come through. And you're gonna watch out. You're gonna feel it like I feel it. Strong Inspirations, we jamming. Have you seen the video on the channel I just released about the history of Harlem, where this professor, Dr. Edward O'Donnell, talks about the African-American man in real estate who encouraged other African-Americans to move to Harlem because that was not what it was intended for? Watch that one. Did you see the one where I interviewed the lady out of St. Catherine, Canada, just on the other side of Buffalo? When the slaves had to escape, they ran that far north to get away. Canada said, we're not making them leave and you can't take them. And they developed their own community called Colored Village because, we can't, they ain't gonna let us live with them. So they let us go to St. Catherine, then we got our own spot. Watch that one. Did you see the one where the guy, great, and I don't know how many greats, grandfather is Josh Gibson, the big baseball player from the Negro Baseball League? Watch that one. And I can go on and on. I'm gonna give you one more, my friends, and I want you to watch them all on the channel. Just scroll down, see the ones that you like. All of them have different connotations to them. I'm jamming here at the channel. I like what I'm doing, and I like my guests. I like this lady. This is something that came out of nowhere for me. Now, I'm a filmmaker and I'm an author, as you might know. This is my film. It's called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. It's streaming on Amazon. Take a look at this. You'll like this. This is where it kind of all began in this way for me. And then I wrote this book called Black Business Book. It's over 200 Black history facts, amazing facts. Little known stuff, names that I know you don't know. And how about this? If you know everything in my book, I give your money back. Have you ever had a book with a money back guarantee? There it is. If this book don't teach you nothing new, I figure you need your money. And it's reasonably priced because I would rather you have it. I got boxes of them in my basement. I don't want them in my basement. I want you to know this. And every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. I just pick a school randomly. You buy 10 of them, I donate one in your honor. I put your name on the ladder. You tell me what school, it don't matter. I want people to hear this because I was a pretty decent student. I didn't know a lot of this. Somehow they kept it from me. And all my other classmates. Take a look at that. The other thing I want you to do is hit the subscribe button on the channel. It's free. I don't ask no information. All it does in real terms, I'm gonna be honest with you, it let me know you like me and you like what I'm doing because I like you anyway. And you can't stop me from liking you, and I'm gonna keep giving you this good information. Watch out. Hit the like button on this video. Watch the lady smiling, and she gonna put something on you that you don't know. Me and her have had a talk about it, and I didn't know what she gonna share. Like this video, hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up, you get notified. And I put a new 3-4 videos up every week. There's that much going on, and that many people that I find to bring on the channel every week, and you want to be on top of it, the first to watch it, let's say, and share the videos, my friends. Don't keep this to yourself. Share them. Just share the link. Tell people about Strong Inspirations. I truly appreciate it, and then do this subscribe thing. Now, a couple more things before I have her come on. Y'all know that I'm having my own festival, Little Old Me. There's a town called Quindaro, which is outside of Kansas City, Kansas. Because people say, well, why you pick Kansas City? You know, it's not in the South per se. It's very historic. The enslaved used to escape from Missouri across that river. They ended up in Quindaro. I got to go see this spot. And I'm doing another festival later in the year in Elaine, Arkansas. I'm putting that together too. But this Quindaro I'm focusing on because it's Memorial Day weekend, May 27th through the 29th. I can only take 1,000 of y'all because I got to make sure I can handle the crowd and coordinate it. And I'm gonna feed you. I'm gonna feed you at the fish fry on Friday. I'm gonna feed you at the picnic on Saturday. And I'm not talking about just you know, it'd be hot dogs and, you know, hamburgers and chicken and stuff like that, but I'm letting the people there cook it. They're gonna put their slant on this, man. This is gonna be good, gooder and good. You're gonna enjoy this, and you're gonna hear the voices and feel the spirit of the people that were there back in the 1800s. It's gonna blow your mind. We're gonna have a good time too. Now you hear me use this word strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. I've just been saying strong for a long time. I like the word strong. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And check it out. That is my introduction to my guest today. She's a strong lady. Come on, strong lady, introduce yourself. Let's get it on. Thank you for being patient with me and being on Strong Inspirations.
I don't know how to introduce myself. Tracy Neely. I don't know how. I'm the president of the Mobile Creole Cultural and Historical Preservation Society, and my tang is tangled. So there you go.
All right. So now, you know, as I do with all my guests, I asked them a few personal questions. Let's say to get you know my viewers to get to know who you are. Are you originally from Mobile?
I am. Yes.
How did your folks get to Mobile?
Oh, okay. So that's a long and convoluted story. So I didn't know how my father's family got to Mobile, except for I knew that his father had been born here, but my father was born in Fort Benning. And so after my father died and my first child was born, I couldn't fill out the tree in the baby book for my oldest child.
Okay.
And so I wanted to know more. And so one thing led to another. And then finally I realized my dad's family had been here since the inception of Mobile and before.
Now, Mobile is one of them old cities.
It is. It is. 1702 it was established. Yes. Yes.
Is St. Augustine older or Mobile?
St. Augustine is older, yes. Now there is a debate between St. Augustine and Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
There's a great debate there.
Okay.
But I think that was 1560.
Okay.
It was very early.
Now, growing up in Mobile, did you know racial strife?
As a white girl, no, I really didn't comprehend it. No clue. I was brought up white Catholic and went to Catholic schools and had no idea that I had African ancestry.
Oh,
none.
So you have African? Oh, really? Okay, we're gonna get into
this.
that.
Yes.
Okay, but okay, yeah. I just want to ask a couple more questions. Since you didn't know that, you lived on the white side of town?
I did. Now, my father did not work in the white side of town, though.
Oh, really?
Really?
He worked on the black side of town. With what you're saying?
Yes, the kind of muddled side. Yeah.
What's the black side of town called?
Well, at this point, we're talking about Crichton, whereas early on it had been white, but then white flight took place and it became increasingly black. But my father's family business was established there and continued to thrive until he died.
How close are you to Africa Town?
How close am I?
Yeah, where's Africa Town compared to where you grew up?
Where I grew up is, well, let's see. Let me see if I can let me give you a map. I got a map here, I think, somewhere.
You've heard of Africa Town, though, right?
Yes, yes. Africatown is very, very important. They've discovered the Clotilda, and I
Yes.
have several friends who descend from Africatown. Africatown is, this is Mobile proper here. I don't, can you, so I'm sharing, but you can't see
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I
yeah.
need to share, don't I? Okay.
Yeah, it's something I got to do.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I
Circle
want to do
around there. There we go. Okay. You're screen sharing. You've got to give me permission.
Oh, okay. I thought I did. That I
That's
don't
all
know
right.
how to do. Hold on.
Run your cursor around. You'll see where it says security.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's in there. Give me some screen sharing.
All right. Uh, Let me see. Is that it?
Let's
No,
see if
that's
I
not
can.
it. All right. Well,
Right.
I don't want. Yeah, I
Right.
don't want
But
to bog
that's
down on
okay.
that anyway.
I've got some maps. I've got some different things. But if you figure out how to do that, I've got quite a few things I can play show and tell with here.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. Hold on here. Share sound up. And
Your
this.
screen sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I should know this thing here.
All right. Let's see if I can. Can I?
Yeah, it's something I got to do.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
down there in the security options, I think.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
It should be
Multiple.
allow.
Yeah, here it is.
There you go.
Did I do it?
Well, you're still screen sharing and I can't stop it. So you
Oh,
have to stop your screen share before I can tell.
I gotta stop mine.
Yeah, you got to unshare. There you go. Let's see.
Did I do it?
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Here we go. Okay, here is an 1895 road map of Mobile. This is some of the things that I work with here.
Okay.
And so up here where you see all these land claims,
All
this
right.
is pretty much Mobile proper.
Okay.
Going this way. Down here you have South Mobile County. Crichton, it would be right about in here. I grew up way. So it was a 30-minute drive just to get from our house to my father's work. So it's about halfway between our house and all the way downtown.
Okay.
Is where it was. Yeah.
Does that map show Africatown?
Africatown is going to be Plateau.
Yeah, Plateau. Yep.
Yeah. And so I think that's going to be up in here. That's Polecat Bay. Let's see. Well, I am sure it's in here somewhere. It's probably in some of this tiny, tiny writing.
Okay.
Near Magazine Point. I'm sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we could find
Okay.
Africatown in there. Yes.
Okay. So it's around that. So what were you told not to go to the black side of town?
Yes. Yes, I was told not to go to Africatown. I was told not to go to Happy Hills. I was told not to go to Plateau, which is Africatown, essentially.
You were told that? What made you be who you are then under those conditions?
What do you
how
mean?
did you break out of that mindset?
I don't know that I was completely there. I come from a very multiracial family to start with. My parents adopted 5 children after my sister and I were born. And so I have one sister who's Vietnamese, one sister who's Chinese but was born here, 2 sisters who were born in Korea, and my youngest sister is biracial. She's half black, half white. So, and there's 20 years between her and I. Okay. So there was always a I don't know if it's empathetic viewpoint.
Okay.
for other cultures,
Okay.
races,
I love
and
it.
those kinds of things.
I
And so
love it.
somewhere along there, I guess when you develop that curiosity and it's within your own family, you're able to explore things that maybe other people aren't able to explore. So we
Okay.
celebrated Chinese New Year. We
Okay.
had the discussion about whether or not my sister would, what would she mark on her standardized test for ACT? Did she mark that she's white? Does she mark that she's Black? There's not a mark for biracial,
Oh,
so we
okay.
had those conversations.
Okay.
And so I think I was already kind of queued up for this. And then when I guess when I finally started doing my own investigation in my own family, and I realized those of my friends who were of color that I grew up with, I'm related to them.
Okay, let me
That's
stop you there. You said you had friends that were of color. How did you have
yeah.
friends of color not living near them?
Well, because I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
And so in my Catholic school, there was one family of color that I can think of, and then later maybe two or three.
Oh, okay.
And so Kim's father and my father were very good friends.
Oh, really?
Yes, they were very good friends. Yeah. My dad, he was this big redheaded freckled faced guy that was just very casual. He played really hard and he worked really hard.
Okay.
And he loved a good beer next with the hamburger.
Okay.
But when he was at work, he was the guy that all the shade tree mechanics would wait in line for hours just to have him wait on them, because he would barter for eggs, or a wrench or whatever. He'd say, "Got you later."
Okay.
And he'd keep track of it all in his head, and he'd work it out. And,
okay.
So I would, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's leave that. Did other white people be mad at him for being the kind of guy he was? Did you ever hear that?
No, but I can't imagine that there wasn't some of that. And that takes us off into another angle. My father's mother was a Mormon convert, and there's a whole different story and can of worms with the Mormon population there.
Yeah, oh, sure. Yeah.
So when my parents started adopting from other countries, I think there was a lot of whispering going on.
I can't imagine. But you're not old enough to see Black only, white only, and that kind of thing.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. My parents wouldn't have taken me to those places either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there were places we couldn't go because of the way that people would react to some of my siblings.
And you never saw KKK either.
I did not, but I had friends in school, and I've got one friend, and she's just very special to me. Her father was from Trinidad, and she had no idea that might be Afrocentric until she was completely grown and married. And so she has seen that where she lives in the northern part of Mobile County. And so we have talked about that recently. She's
African American.
She does not identify African American, but she knows now that she's Trinidadian American, I guess but her father was born in Trinidad, but he is Black. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but yeah, I got you there. So given all this, you have this affinity to. When did you like to learn history? When did you decide to go down this road?
When my first child was born, really, truly. And because in trying to find out what my own history was, it made history in general so much more fascinating. I mean, really fascinating.
Okay.
People you didn't think about. They're breathing in a way. When you talk about the spirits of our ancestors, this is how we keep them with us.
All right, sure. So
Yeah.
you found out what?
Well, doing with the census data, I got back to my great-grandfather, and I noticed on the census they were listed as Black, and that was confusing to me.
I'm sure.
True.
So he's your mother or your father's father?
This is my father's grandfather.
Your father's grandfather,
yeah.
Right?
Yes, and so he's listed on the census as Black, and I don't know what to do with this information. So I go back another generation, and they're listed as white. And I go back
another generation before him or after him?
Yes, before him. But then I start looking at the same census data for his father in other years, and they're listed as Black or mulatto. So, long story short, when I get back to the previous the generation before that, which is my third great-grandparents, I find out that my third great-grandmother was a free woman of color, but she had been emancipated as an infant. And I have a copy of her emancipation record.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What you're saying is she was born enslaved, and somebody
her father bought her freedom. Yes, for $85.
Her father is a Black guy.
He was a free man of color. What that meant
Mobile.
In Mobile, yes. His name was Joseph Journet. Yeah.
But if her father bought her, she was enslaved because of her mother was enslaved.
Yes.
Because it comes down from the mother.
Right. It comes down from the mother. And I have no record that he bought the freedom of her mother. I only have the record that he bought her freedom.
It's kind of amazing when we talk about buying freedom, it just really comes up to the discretion of the enslaver to say how much he's going to sell it for.
Yeah.
$85 is not a lot. I've heard of stories like $2,000 and $3,000.
Well, we're talking about $85 for a 2-month-old infant in 1823.
Which is a good amount of money.
Because you don't know if that infant's going to make it to a year old in 1823.
Can you imagine how he had the money to buy her freedom?
No,
what he might have done?
I have no idea. I don't know what he did. He died in 1844. I know he owned a property in downtown Mobile that was a very small amount. And then he dies and disappears. I don't know where he came from.
But he's listed as mulatto on the records.
He's listed as mulatto, yes.
Which might mean that his father was either a white guy who had relations with a Black woman and then gave him some, liberties.
It's very possible, yes. And I don't know. It's one of those things I'm still searching for.
Now, we use this word Creole. What does Creole mean?
It depends on who you are. It's originally Creole was the product, the progeny of those first European men that came in and intermarried with the indigenous people here. And their children were the first Creoles. But as the generations come down, you've got different things marrying in, whether it's Spanish or French or African or Indian, Native American, whatever. And so it becomes this giant gumbo that really, it depends on who you are. I have one friend, they have a very Spanish influence. He identifies African American, but their concept or for their family is very Spanish centric. I have another one, it's very French centric. I have, so it just depends. It's microcosmic, but yet it's all one.
Is Creole another term for just biracial?
No, it is really unified with tradition and history and language.
I Are you Creole?
My ancestry is Creole. I was not raised Creole. My great grandmother was Creole.
Is there something to be considered when you say raised as? What does that mean? No one said it, or you have to do certain things on a holiday,
Well,
on Sunday?
There's certain, yeah, I think there's certain religious practices that would have in my particular family. There are definitely some Catholic practices that would have happened in my life that didn't necessarily, because of we were. My mother's Protestant converted, and then my father was Catholic, but there's a whole different story there too. And that's for another day in a sequel.
Sure.
You know, but there would have been a different type of devoutness, I think, a different sense of how to celebrate holidays.
Okay.
There would probably in my line been a lot more French influence. From my Lafargues, my Rabbies, my Crochet ancestors, we would have had those kinds of things. The food would be very different. You know, It wouldn't just be chicken.
Okay.
And roast beef. Okay. I would have grown up knowing about red beans only on Mondays, rather than any time I wanted them.
Is there
so there were a lot of things I had to learn.
Is there a Creole holiday?
I don't know that there's necessarily a Creole holiday. We have International Creole Heritage Month that we celebrate now. But I guess the one thing that I have found that's been unique is I don't know how to pronounce it very well, and you're going to laugh at me. I think it's like a reveille. And it's a special French breakfast that happens after midnight mass. That's very Catholic centric. And so it's kind of like staying up all night for prom and then going to the Waffle House. But instead of going to the Waffle House, you go and you have really nice, fancy food. Everybody's dressed up kind of thing.
I only hear the term and identify the term Creole between, let's say, Mobile, New Orleans, and Louisiana, in that area. Is that
you need to move over to Pensacola and a little bit sometimes into Texas.
Oh, really?
And then also after 1900, you also need to look at the Creole Migration. So while you talk about the Great Migration in general, there was a Creole migration that happened that was kind of underneath that. So we went to places like Los Angeles, Washington State, San Antonio, Texas. There's a big
From where?
pocket.
Whoa.
From Mobile.
From Mobile, okay.
From Mobile, yeah. Ohio. Go figure. You don't hear about Creoles from Ohio, but there's quite a number of Creoles that left Mobile and went to Ohio, Philadelphia. And there's a lot of just different places like that. Now a lot of Mobilians went back to New Orleans, and some went to Pensacola, and some stayed here.
Okay.
But you have this interesting migration pattern that happens sometime right around 1910, give or take.
Okay. Now, when we talk about going back to the history of it, when you found out that you had an African-American biracial in the family, what did you tell your parents, and what was their response to this?
My father was deceased.
Okay.
By this point. My mother just kind of, she just kind of took it here nor there. It's like, yeah, well, that's your dad's side.
But they knew that, though.
No, they did not.
As a reason, so would we assume there are some instances, and we got a video on the channel where the guy, he was a slave trader. He was actually married to a Black woman. Can we assume that in some of those, it was a mutual thing, that she really loved this guy, or was it always sometimes we can think that it was he made me do it, or and how about this one? And I don't know if I'm gonna call this mutual. I only did it because I knew that there were gonna be some benefits if I hooked up with this guy for my kids and for myself.
I think if simply because it's wrapped around the term enslavement,
yes,
I don't think you can say that there's any consent.
Okay.
I mean, that's my personal opinion. I don't know beyond that. It may be that there was, but she's not here to say that.
Yeah, sure. And it'd be
and so I can't put those words in her mouth. And that was one of the lessons that I did have to learn. There's certain romanticizations, that people do, and they don't think about it, but that's one of them. When you think about Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, people can romanticize the love story, but Sally's not here to defend that.
Yeah, right.
So how do we know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because it would be hard to imagine that I'm loving you as a wife of my heritage.
Yeah,
how she could overlook that.
I don't know how they could. I know I couldn't. I'm not that good of a person.
I got a good one for you, and hopefully you don't mind asking. Could you imagine that, or do you know that any of your ancestors were enslavers?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. They on my mother's side, it was rather prolific. On my father's side, when you talk about Creole, you often have, when you have the wealthier Creole families, you may have free people of color owning other people of color.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so there is a lot of that.
I wonder what that dynamic was. Are they as brutal to them as maybe the white enslaver might have been?
I don't know. I mean, certainly when you're researching individual people, you get a feel for them. Some of them call out to you in the middle of the night saying, "Come find me. There's a record here or there that's, going to flesh me out a little bit." But I have yet to get that feeling from that line of my own ancestry.
The enslaver, what did you get records? They had a bunch of them, or they had a plantation?
Some of them did. Yeah, some of them did. Some of them might have had one or two. But some of them had 10 or 12. So he dies. But when he writes his will, he makes sure to tell everyone how much he loves her, how free she is, how no one is allowed to come back and reclaim her, and how she is to have all of his possessions.
There were other things that you wanted to share on the video, right? You did the map, but you said there were some other things.
Well, I pulled up all kinds of stuff. Really, truly, it's just so here. Let me see. Oh, I forgot where we were. Wait a second. Share. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So I did want to show you our website.
Okay.
This is from one of our Creole family reunions prior to COVID. And so we had people come from all over the United States, from California, Massachusetts, Texas, Missouri. They all converged on Mobile, and they all had roots here in Mobile to the Creole population. And but this is our website here. I don't know if you can see this or not. Yeah. It's Mobile Creole Cultural and Historical Preservation Society. And it's at mobilecreolesociety.weebly.com. right there. And you can go to our website. You can make donations. You can join. I sent you, I don't know if you got to look at it or not. Let's see, where did my pictures go? A copy of our most recent magazine. Did you get that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Well, here is one of our earlier magazines here. It's Mumbo Gumbo. It's a journal of coastal Creole culture and history. I get really nervous with these things. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
And this is little Mabel Jusang Palmer on the front. And she is an ancestor of several of our members.
It has not moved to show anybody different.
Pardon?
You said there was like a lady there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Reshare.
The latest developments, that kind of thing.
Well, we do just kind of. We just kind of what we do. We just try to find something that's of interest, whether it be somebody might write an article about finding out their Creole, or that they have Creole ancestry and they didn't know, which is we had. One thing, and if you hold on, I have to warm up something for my autistic one, if you don't mind. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, hold on just a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Such is life. Where were we?
Are there people who don't want to say they're Creole for some reason?
Yes. Yes, and I do not understand why.
Okay.
Ever heard of the Pope Sisters?
No.
But they were a singing group from here, and they sang all over the country, and I think maybe even globally some.
Okay.
And you can find some of their pieces on YouTube.
Okay.
But the last two remaining Pope Sisters were 20 years ago. They were almost 100. And Dr. Jackson did an interview with them, and they did not want to go anywhere near the term Creole. And it was really fascinating to watch. So I really don't understand.
Okay. Is there fractions within Creole that let's say don't get along for some reason, going back because their countries didn't get along? Is there something to that?
You mean like between like Haitians and Americans?
Or between Creoles in Mobile and Creole people in New Orleans, let's say. I guess my point is Creole all one big family?
Yes and no. See, you can't pin this down. We've tried really hard. We've had meetings on this one topic. You cannot pin this down.
Is there somebody who is known as the head of Creole Nation?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It might be self-appointed kitchen table.
Yeah.
Delegated,
And then as we, I guess, kind of come to the end, what more information would, not just in your family, but in general, would you like to find out about Creole?
Would I like to find out more about Creole?
Yeah, or just in terms of the heritage. Is there a missing link that no one has been able to discover, let's say, of
I'm
maybe
not
how the
sure that I
term
follow what you're
began or
asking.
anything like that?
I'm not sure I really quite follow what you're
Yeah.
asking.
It's like
Nope. Creole is going to be different in different places. Just like I said earlier, it's microcosmic. It's Haitian Creole, and they're going to see things very differently and much more politically than here. But they're still going to identify Creole. You can go to Goodblackhistory,
right.
And there's a Creole population.
Oh, really?
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the word Creole start in America?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So there might be a community of Creole where else but in America?
No, I mean, I think, I don't think that it started here. I think, I don't know, there's like Criollo, which is which is Spanish for Creole.
Okay.
But I don't know that Creole, I haven't studied that word in that respect, the way that you're asking.
Okay.
And it does,
okay.
Require some further research, but to think about it right here and right now.
Okay.
I would guess that word existed before there was a Creole population here.
In America.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting at.
The term needs to come from somewhere.
Yeah, that's what.
How did they create that term?
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Yeah, is Creole a Spanish term or French term?
Well, my favorite chicken marinade is mojo criollo. That's Spanish.
That's
Cuban.
Okay.
That's Cuban. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Is there a question that I have not asked you? That
there's probably a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll think of them as soon as we hang up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I will. Okay, right here, right quick. Is there what? Okay. At the end of the day, what do you want people to know about Creole?
I want people to know that Creole is an important history to the fabric of Mobile. It's important in a lot of places, but I'm here in Mobile. Losing it. We're losing the history because of the politics in Mobile that, through history just didn't embrace the culture. Those beautiful threads in that fabric that is us are fading and they're falling out.
Okay.
And we need to take care of them, and we need to tell the stories even when we think they're not important. We need to write them down. We need to ask the hard questions, and we might get an answer, we might not. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I
think what I'm struggling is this: you want them to know what stories of the people. What stories, like I know you shared some now, but what stories would you want people to know of Creole?
I want them to know how fascinating that these people lived a life that went in and out of both white and Black society.
Okay.
They saw both sides. Early on, the Creole population were first-class citizens, only to later be relegated to second class.
Oh, really?
And then, Jim Crow hits, and, everybody's relegated to the dark side, so to speak.
Okay, how about this? Can you be Creole and not have any, for the lack of a better word, Black in your family?
Yes. I think so, yes. Yes.
Okay.
There are white Creoles, there are Black Creoles, there are German Creoles.
Oh, really?
Yes, just above New Orleans, there's a place called the German Coast, and many of those families are considered German Creoles. It's a thing.
And go back over this one more time. This will be my last question, so to speak. For someone to be considered Creole, they have to do what has to happen?
I think it's really, I asked my friend George Steele this, because he is Creole. And we used to meet for coffee way before COVID. And I said, I'm really disappointed in my family. I've lost so much history just in a generation or two. I said, that I might have been able to call myself Creole. And he says, why can't you? You can adopt us.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, it's culture. So you can adopt a culture.
Okay.
And
is it I keep getting these good ones here. Question: is it a form of the type of way you cook the food? Is it also something in the way in your dress, in your outfits? Is there a Creole food, a Creole dress?
You're trying to pin it down again.
Okay.
There are Creole foods.
Yes,
I mean, everybody knows gumbo. Everybody knows, shrimp etouffee. They're all of those things. But as for dress, I don't know that it's, one thing or another. There's usually Catholicism wrapped up in it, generally speaking.
Okay.
Okay. Historically speaking.
Okay.
But not always anymore.
Okay.
It's ever evolving. You really can't define it or give it boundaries.
Is there, as we come to a close, for the viewers on the channel, is there an event that's a public event sponsored and hosted by Creole, such as your organization, that people can come to understand more, to hear more, to see you all interact, to be a part of it, so on and so forth?
Didn't I showed you a picture just a minute ago, I thought. We had, prior to COVID, because we just incorporated in 2017.
Yeah. Okay.
And so in 2018 and 2019, we had in-person Creole family reunions. And so what we did, the first year we converged at St. Rose of Lima, which is historically important to the Creole population.
Okay.
And now we have our library at St. Peter the Apostle in Chastain, Alabama, which is also historically important and still has, a large Creole presence in the congregation. Pretty much all of the congregation is Creole. And so the last one in 2019, we even had a family from Japan fly in specifically for our program. And so usually it's a 3-day event. We include the African American Heritage Trail with Eric and Carlos Finley, who are both working with the Africa Town projects going on over there.
Yes.
And we do that. We have other tours and lectures that we provide over the weekend, and we end it with a brunch, on Sunday.
And that's something for the general public to be able to attend, even if you're not Creole.
Yes, even you don't have to be, just have an interest and want to meet people and learn something. Yeah.
Now, when does that usually take place?
Usually in June.
In June.
Yes, but with COVID, what we wound up having to do was move everything online.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And so we moved it to October for International Creole Heritage Month is what we did.
Sure.
So, and that's a month-long program that we put on for that.
Have you written a book? Do you want to write a book or something to document what you're saying is the history that is being lost?
You're going to ghostwrite it for me?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because how can we support your efforts? How can we help learn more?
Well, you can do several things. Okay. We've got our website, right. Creole Society.weebly.com.
Right.
We have our Facebook page.
Right.
We have a Facebook group where everybody comes together to discuss Mobile Creole culture and history. Love it. We have micro reunions that are, in Zoom. Right. And we pick a particular family that we want to discuss, whether it's Collins or Chastang or Rabi or what have you. We do that. Pretty much just if you watch our page on Facebook, and we've got an Instagram.
Yeah, I thank you so very much. You got me there. It took me a minute because you alluded to how it's so much into it.
Yeah.
That but then you got me there, understanding that, and the way of life, the way of thinking.
Yeah.
That gets me there. Everybody, this is what I'm doing, strong inspirations, man. And the thing about it is, I got the top, and I don't mean no disrespecting in this word. I got the top dog on the channel. I got the lady who runs and helps keep this alive. That's who she is. I found her somehow, and this has become her mission to help keep this going. Because somehow later in life, and then this is what I got out of it, you found this by happenstance because no one told you this. Mm-hmm. And you were like, this in many respects, this was an moment for you.
Yes.
And you embraced it. Where somebody else would have said, like you said before, I don't want to know nothing about that. I don't want to associate with that. Because you didn't grow up. You grew up enough to understand and appreciate